Your book, Neon Noir, obviously cyberpunk, you are a big fan of that. I read that when I was reading through your bio stuff. So why do you love cyberpunk so much, and why did that kind of catch your interest?
Yeah, so obviously William Gibson, he was just his writing style was very captivating for me. And I loved that when you read it, you just immediately see the world. And it's the way he writes it is almost a little confusing. The first book I read by him wasn't Neuromancer, but it was it's terrible. I'm forgetting the name. But when I first started reading it, I was like, I have no idea what's going on, because I just, I'm picking it up, and it was a lot of fragments and neon. I'm doing a terrible job describing it, but just the way that I saw the world, it was very captivating and very different than other sci-fi worlds that I'm very used to. And I've read a lot of space operas and things like that. This was very different. And I've always loved Blade Runner, and I love synthwave music. And I think that was the biggest inspiration for me, was the art and music side. So synthwave and cyberpunk and vaporwave, all of that with the neon colors and the grunge and the random, things like, artwork like that. I'm a writer, and I am not using words very well at all to describe this entire aesthetic.
It's all right.
Which is kind of interesting, given that, I wrote a whole book on it. I swear I describe it better in there. But for this book in particular, so it was always a world vibe aesthetic that I loved. And I was on a road trip, or I was in the car traveling for many, many hours, and I'm just listening to some cyberpunk mix. I don't remember. And then it's just, I'm seeing the characters, and I start to build up this little plot line. And then for that 6-hour car ride, I had a pretty rough plot line made, and I was like, hell yeah, I know this world. I love this world. I should write in this world. And music is a huge inspiration for me. And I find that it's difficult for me to write without music. And if I ever am in a writer's slump, I can just listen to either listen to a synthwave mix or listen to Gunship, and it's like, boom, immediate inspiration, and then I'm back at it. So that was where I got the idea for this book in particular.
Yeah. So it sounds like music plays a pretty big role for you. Do you have kind of a process around that? Like, do you listen to like the same like mix for when you're writing the same, like a story, or do you vary it a lot, or how's that?
For the mixes, I like to do random mixes, but definitely like Gunship in particular, there are a few songs that just encapsulate different parts of my book, and I've definitely gotten a lot of direct inspiration for plot lines for my book. And so listening to those songs in particular, I can just listen to it, and then it's like, okay, how am I going to further the plot? And I just get emotions from it, and it's very easy to feed off of it. So it's a little bit of a combination of both.
Yeah. When I first started writing, I didn't really ever write to music. And then which is funny because I'm a musician, but I came across, because I do like listening to cinematic things like Two Steps from Hell and that kind of stuff, which is kind of like the movie score type music. Okay. So I came across just randomly this artist called Joe Blankenberg, and he writes just like cinematic albums. So it's like strings, and he's done a whole bunch of genres like westerns and space operas and fantasy and like. But I came across this album called Elysium from 2012. Like, it's been a while, and like the moment I heard it, I was like, this is the sound of my story. Like, I just instantly, like, I wasn't even thinking about my story, but then I heard it, and I was like, it took me right there, and it was like I could see it like a movie. Like, I could just I can see exactly how this should happen. And so I've even gone a little bit further now of like, when I'm writing my current book, I only listen to that album. So it's kind of like a Pavlov dog thing of like, when I hear I can jump in. Yeah.
I think it's the exact same way with Gunship, because it was very much like a movie scene was playing.
Mhm.
And I love Gunship and I'll listen to them elsewhere, but it's gotten to the point now where when I'm listening to it, I feel like I need to go sit down and write because I'll get these ideas and stuff. And it's like, no, I'm just trying to walk the dog. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I can't. I try to now only listen to it when I'm like, I could go write if I need to, because something will inevitably come to me.
Something's going to come from it. Yeah.